It started as a quiet patrol over the Red Sea. The U.S. fighter jet, gliding high above the horizon, was running routine surveillance when something unexpected happened. A sudden radar lock warning. Deep in Yemen, Houthi rebels had just done the unthinkable. They'd targeted an American jet with a missile system no one thought they could operate. In that moment, the skies over the Middle East transformed into a battlefield of nerve and precision. But how did a rebel group, once armed with little more than rifles, suddenly possess the firepower to threaten a U.S. fighter jet? This wasn't just a lucky shot, it was a message. And that message could reshape global military strategy. Stay with us, because what you're about to hear isn't just a story of one missile launch. It's a glimpse into a dangerous new era of warfare. The backdrop: the Red Sea turns into a war zone. For years, the Red Sea was a vital but quiet maritime route connecting Europe, Asia, and Africa. But after Yemen's civil war erupted, that peace disappeared. The Iran-backed Houthi movement, controlling large parts of northern Yemen, began using this corridor not for trade, but for war. They targeted oil tankers, commercial vessels, and now, shockingly, even military aircraft. The U.S., which maintains a heavy naval presence in the region, has been protecting shipping routes under Operation Prosperity Guardian. But even America's dominance was suddenly tested when radar alarms screamed from one of its jets. The sky over the Red Sea became an invisible front line, where technology, politics, and human nerves collided in seconds. Who are the Houthis? From rebel fighters to regional threat. To understand why the Houthis would dare to target a U.S. fighter jet, we need to understand who they are. Emerging in the early 2000s from Yemen's Sada province, the Houthis, officially known as Ansar Allah, began as a local resistance movement against corruption and foreign influence. Over time, their ambitions grew. Backed by Iranian technology and expertise, the Houthis turned from a guerrilla militia into one of the most capable non-state military forces in the Middle East. With drones, missiles, and radar-guided weapons, they now control territory, ports, and the capital city of Sana'a. What started as a domestic rebellion evolved into a geopolitical nightmare, one that now challenges even the world's most advanced militaries. The target: America's flying fortress. The aircraft that came under threat wasn't just any jet. It was a symbol of U.S. power projection. Reports suggest it was either an F/A-18 Super Hornet or an F-15E Strike Eagle, both capable of dominating airspace for hundreds of miles. These aircraft operate from U.S. Navy carriers stationed in the region, often conducting reconnaissance missions to track Houthi missile launches. The fact that rebels even attempted to lock on to one of these jets was shocking. For decades, America's air superiority has been unquestioned. No insurgent group had ever come this close to threatening a modern U.S. fighter jet. Yet now, that dominance was being challenged from the unlikeliest corner of the world. The strike attempt: lock, launch, and miss. The drama unfolded fast. U.S. pilots reported receiving radar lock signals, a telltale sign of a surface-to-air missile, SAM, system preparing to fire. Within seconds, countermeasures were deployed. Flares streaked across the sky as the jet executed evasive maneuvers. Then, launch. A missile arced upward from Yemeni territory, blazing through the atmosphere. But whether due to superior electronic jamming, evasive flight paths, or simple malfunction, the missile failed to make contact. The jet escaped unscathed, but the message was crystal clear. The Houthis could now reach where they were never supposed to. It was no longer about hitting the target. It was about proving they could try. The weapon: Iranian tech in rebel hands. How could the Houthis even threaten a U.S. jet flying at high altitude? Experts believe they used an Iranian-supplied surface-to-air missile, possibly a modified version of the Sayed or 9M133 series. Systems designed to track fast-moving aircraft. Iran has long been accused of funneling weapons into Yemen through smuggling networks and proxy routes across the Gulf of Aden. Over the years, the Houthis have unveiled increasingly sophisticated drones and missiles, many identical to Iranian models. In this case, intelligence analysts suspect an advanced radar-guided missile, perhaps even a repurposed air defense system once belonging to Yemen's pre-war military. The technology leap is staggering and deeply concerning for Western defense analysts. U.S. response: from restraint to retaliation. When news of the attempted shootdown reached Washington, it triggered immediate concern. The U.S. military, operating in the Red Sea to protect shipping lanes, has so far tried to avoid direct escalation with the Houthis. But the targeting of an American jet marked a red line. U.S. officials reportedly discussed new airstrikes on Houthi launch sites and radar installations. Within hours, retaliatory operations were underway, striking near Yemen's western coast. This wasn't just payback, it was deterrence. The U.S. message was loud and clear. We will not allow any threat to our forces. But beneath the surface, a troubling question lingered. How long could this limited engagement remain contained before spiraling into something much bigger? Why the Houthis struck. Politics behind the missile. So why did the Houthis take this risky shot? Experts point to both timing and symbolism. The attack came amid rising tensions over Israel's war in Gaza, a conflict the Houthis openly opposed. By targeting U.S. assets, they aimed to frame themselves as defenders of the Palestinian cause and resistance to American intervention. It was political theater with deadly consequences. Each missile launch isn't just a military act. It's a message to the region and to Tehran's allies that the Houthis are now a power to be reckoned with. But this dangerous form of symbolism risks igniting a regional war, pulling in the U.S., Israel, Iran, and Gulf states into a conflict that could set the Middle East ablaze once again. The shadow of Iran. The puppet master's hand behind the scenes. Iran's influence looms large. Tehran has been supplying the Houthis with advanced drone and missile technology for years, allowing them to punch far above their weight. Iranian military advisors have allegedly helped the rebels integrate radar systems and target coordination. To Iran, the Houthis are a cost-effective way to harass U.S. forces and allies like Saudi Arabia, without engaging directly. It's part of a wider strategy known as asymmetric deterrence, where Iran uses proxies to fight its battles. So when a missile nearly hit a U.S. jet, it wasn't just a Houthi act of defiance. It was Iran whispering from the shadows, testing how far it could push the world's most powerful military. The global impact, a new era of drone and missile warfare. The attempted strike represents something much bigger than a single confrontation. It's part of a pattern, one where rebel groups and non-state actors are gaining access to precision weapons once reserved for superpowers. The Houthis have already attacked commercial vessels, destroyed oil infrastructure, and now nearly downed a fighter jet. This marks a new chapter in modern warfare. Decentralized, unpredictable, and harder to contain. Nations can no longer assume technological superiority guarantees safety. Even with multi-billion-dollar defense systems, a low-cost missile in the hands of a rebel group can trigger international crises overnight. The battlefield has changed, and it's now everywhere. A close call, pilot testimony, and aftermath. Though official details are scarce, Sources close to the incident describe the U.S. pilot's experience as the most intense 30 seconds imaginable. Once the radar warning went off, every second mattered. The pilot deployed countermeasures, dove sharply, and executed maneuvers that pushed the jet to its limits. When the missile lost lock and exploded mid-air, the crew's relief was short-lived. They knew what it meant. The Houthis had the tools and the intent to strike again. Intelligence officers quickly reviewed radar footage and missile trajectories to locate the launch site. Within hours, retaliatory strikes were planned. For the pilot, the encounter was over. For the U.S. military, it had just begun. Satellite confirmation. Tracing the missile's origin. American satellites later confirmed infrared signatures consistent with a medium-range missile launch from Houthi-controlled territory near Hodeidah. Analysts matched the trajectory with radar readings from naval ships in the area. The data was undeniable. This wasn't random rocket fire. It was a coordinated attempt to engage a fast-moving, high-altitude target. That precision hinted at advanced radar integration, possibly with Iranian guidance systems. It also confirmed fears that the Houthis had operational command over complex weapon systems once thought beyond their reach. This wasn't just a warning shot. It was proof of growing sophistication and a harbinger of future confrontations yet to come. The message to the world: power isn't what it used to be. The attempted strike revealed a harsh truth. Military dominance doesn't guarantee security anymore. A small, resource-poor rebel group had forced the Pentagon to rethink its strategy. The balance of power is shifting, not through size or budgets, but through adaptability. The Houthis' ability to turn limited resources into real strategic pressure has inspired other insurgent movements around the globe. In essence, the modern battlefield is no longer about armies. It's about access to technology. And that's something even superpowers can't always control. The skies over Yemen were a warning. The next war might not be fought by nations, but by networks. A new war needs new thinking. As we end this story, one thing is clear. The world can't keep treating these conflicts as distant problems. The missile fired by the Houthis wasn't just aimed at an American jet. It was aimed at global stability. If small groups can now challenge superpowers from the shadows, then nations must rethink how they engage, defend, and de-escalate. Because the future of warfare won't be fought on open battlefields. It will be fought in the gray zones, with rebels, technology, and invisible enemies. If you found this story eye-opening, make sure to subscribe for more deep-dive documentaries just like this one, where we uncover the hidden battles shaping our world today. Until next time, stay aware, stay informed, and never forget, the next war might already be happening above us.